And we're back. Take 3 or 4, something like that. Yeah. So I said somebody didn't want me to have a message coming out of my mouth. So we're resmudging. And I'm going with the same cards. I'm not going to change. I was like, there must be something there in this message that some powers didn't want me to share with because it was like murder, or a nightmare trying to get back online to do the reading. So, using the spellcasting Oracle deck, it'll be right, the box will be right next to it. I think you'll be able to see it maybe in the picture there. By Flavia Kate Peters. And we're starting out with a very unusual way that I can think of forever on a Valentine's Day weekend. Okay, so getting that cough out the door there. Let's open this up and let's look at what we're looking at here. So we're seeing the trust card and we're seeing it upside down. And this is telling me about being skeptical or almost unbelieving, even though you hear it and that you see it, that it's still not enough for you to really give total 100% belief in something, in some kind of information that is away or is very different from what you believe to be as the truth. So, it's the analogy that I used before was like finding out that your uncle was a serial killer and you're like, I can't believe my uncle did that. I mean, because it's kind of like I would have never guessed it. And that's what this energy is talking about here, is that we're given this information, we're made privy to something, and we sit back on it and we're like, I would have never guessed that. It's like, even though you're telling me this and I'm watching the video or I see them do it or I hear it come from their mouth, I would never believe that this person or group or whatever would be, doing this. And that's that energy that's coming in, is this receiving some information or an experience, and you're like, I would have never guessed it to be like that. And I'm not saying it's a pleasant experience through there. Okay, and we have a very interesting obstacle, and the obstacle is protection. And I'm going to say it like this. I don't know if anybody here grew up with an overprotective mother. My mother was an overprotective mother, and so there were a lot of things that I didn't get to learn how to do that were kind of like normal kid things. And I'm going to say, I'll just tell the truth. I don't know how to ride a bike. Do not know how to ride a bike. I tried to learn how to ride a bike and I couldn't pick it up. And I know y'all are going like, Maris, kids, it's easy to ride a bike. And I'm like, yeah, I can't ride a bike. So our obstacle here is the overprotective, whether it's your parent or your mentor or your spouse, whatever, that you have a sense of overprotection. Well, it's like I didn't want you to, and I didn't want you to get hurt. And that is a lot of the feeling through there, is the I didn't want you to get hurt kind of feeling, or just that protection, that you were protected and maybe not taught about things or knew about particular things, growing up, or even into, young adulthood, that you were very, very shielded. In fact, maybe over shielded or overprotected, and that's how it would work in as an obstacle. So it's kind of like not having enough street sense in order to survive the streets. Now, what's interesting is that you would think that this would be definitely uh, more of the help, and that this card would be your obstacle, but it's the opposite. And what we're looking at in here is, so you're saying, how can a lack of compassion have anything to do with being a help? Because we kind of think that compassion is a really good positive vibration and a positive energy, and wouldn't we want to experience, or wouldn't we want to share that compassion, experience it for ourselves and then share it with others? And in this case, how this is a help, this lack of compassion is, and because what I'm getting is, it takes you out of the picture. It takes you out of that vibration. It takes you out as being a participant and being more of an observant, and not connecting in with the inner workings or the inner energy of that. Uh, and I'm gonna put it like this. So let's say you have a soapbox, and your soapbox is about whatever social or even political issue or whatever, and you get so involved into that it almost feels like you live and breathe for whatever that issue or experience is all about. And you get so involved into it that you don't see anything but that. And you're really engaged in it, and you're really, you're almost too sensitive to what's going on around you. And what happens is that energy is really overwhelming. And when I look at this lack of compassion here card, and this is about disconnecting. This is about disconnecting from that narrow focused passion you were experiencing. So being on that soapbox, and you get so drawn into it that that's all you live and breathe for. And you forget about all the other cool, groovy things in life. And so this is how this becomes your friend. Because in this card, we're taking this lack of compassion kind of vibration, and it's allowing you to disconnect from what overwhelms or overcomes you. This is the energy that comes in that allows you to disconnect from what is overwhelming or overstimulating or just overtaking your personal space, your personal vibration. So this is a really good card. Now, when we disconnect from all of that, and I'm going to call it, it's almost this, when I'm thinking about this energy of what we're disconnecting from, it's almost really suffocating. And when we suffocate, and let's just get medically speaking, when you're suffocating, you don't have a lot of oxygen flowing through there. You have a block of oxygen, and oxygen is required for life and for living. And living is creating, manifesting, and etc. So what I'm looking at when I look at this, kind of this lack of compassion card, is that we're suffocating through, that we've been suffocating for a period of time. We disconnect from that, and then the manifestation comes in, and I feel like oxygenation. We start to breathe. We start to create. It's like if you could do a time lapse of a tree from December 21st to, May 1st, you would see it coming out of that stagnation of winter and coming into the manifestation of spring. So I look at this as that when we start disconnecting especially from the things that we're like been a little skeptical and etc. about, and focus our direction, our energy on growth, that we do start to create that growth. And and that's kind of where we want to put our focus, especially coming into the springtime. I'm still getting, when I look at this, man, I'm getting a lot of what I'm going to say is a disbelief. Like sitting back and shaking our head and like, I would have never guessed that. I would have never believed that. I would have never thought that. Um, yeah, yeah. I got a little like picture up in my head, and it's not it's and it's kind of weird, and it's about like finding out somebody that you thought was really kind of straight laced, and I'm going to use the word prim and proper, and you find out that they're like a dominatrix, and you're like, I would have never guessed that. And it's like weird, kind of off the wall almost. I would have never guessed that in their energy. And that's what I'm looking at here. Is it's like all of these things that come up, and you're like shaking your head. I would have never believed this. It's like what I thought was right is wrong, and what is wrong is right. And what is up is down, and what is down is up. And wow, what was left is right, and what is right is left. And dang, I'm confused. And that's what this energy is talking about, is being in this upheaval or upset of it's everything you thought was the truth, or was a truth, you find out is a falsehood. And everything that they told you was a falsehood or wasn't true is true. And and it keeps making me think about the Wizard of Oz. We keep being told through the whole movie of Oz about this great, wondrous being that gives, light and direction, and is justice, and all things in between. And then we find out it's like some short little dumpy dude who's no different than me and you, and we're kind of like anticipating or expecting something greater. Well, and then you're like wickedly disappointed. And that's what these cards are talking about. It's like finding out the Wizard of Oz was a short, dumpy dude. Crap, I thought he was going to look big and buffy like Jason Momoa. I'm like, damn. Anyway, so it's like all of these realities coming to light, and we're a little bit, I'm not going to say we're not uncomfortable, because we are uncomfortable, and we go through a period of grieving or grief. um, and I kind of laugh, because it's like, are we grieving for them, or are we grieving for ourselves? And it's really about grieving for ourselves. It's kind of like, how was I so stupid? And I'm like, hey, it's not about being smart or being awakened or stupid or woke or alert or in a zombie land or anything to that effect. What it's about is that you only know what you know at that given time. That's it. That is all that it is that you only know what you know at that given time. And you're only going to respond or act upon what you know at that given time. So stop spanking yourself on things that aren't yours to spank on. You can't give yourself some self-hate for knowing something that you haven't been taught, or you haven't been shown, or you haven't been exposed to. That's like insinuating in many ways that a newborn is automatically going to know how to potty train themselves. Because, we all know how to go to the bathroom by the time we're, hopefully, elementary school. However, if you've never shown the newborn or the child how to do it, they're not going to know how to do it. So in this grieving that you experience, that grieving, change that perspective a little bit to grieve that you wish you could have learned it a little earlier, maybe. I don't know, something along that lines. But, oh, thank you. But looking at it from a perspective of like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Now I know it now, so I won't make that choice. Grieve for just a moment, but you got to disconnect from all of that. You can't own and carry something that happened when you weren't in the knowing of understanding. So it's kind of like if you never suspected that your uncle was a serial killer, you can't spank yourself for not seeing or not knowing it was a serial killer when it's found out. That's I guess the easiest way for me to kind of say about the grieving. We can grieve for that moment, but we can't carry that and like it's part of us. Peace. Peace is on that path. Sometimes you have to go through crap to get to where you need to be. And this is some energy, this vibration coming in is all about bringing a reality to light. And in that reality that sometimes we're going to be like, how did I miss that? That's fine. That's okay. We miss things. We're not perfect. We're human. We're going to make mistakes and we're going to maybe overlook things because they're not as important to us as maybe the good, beautiful things that are going on. But as we go through and heal and heal through the struggle and let go what holds us back or takes away, that overwhelms us, that we do start to feel some peace in there and that we do gain that ground back. So if you're kind of thinking like let's get in a battlefield battlefield thought process. This is like losing your capital city to the opponent and then coming back with a beautiful vengeance and regaining your land plus some. Heck, maybe they left some cool artifacts, or maybe they left some cool, ammunition. I don't know, something like that. Now, I love the last card. The last card is the confidence card. And the confidence card is about, and I'm going to say this is the picture that I see. It's like a cat that lands on their feet. And they may be coming from the top floor of a 17 floor, from the roof of a 17 floor building. But when they land on their feet and then they kind of strut off like nothing happened. And that's the energy, that's the vibe that I get when I look at this confidence card, is that after all is said and done, and this craziness that we look at through here, finding out weird things, like we find out, my favorite candy is made from monkey spit? Really? And that's being an exaggeration, that's nothing, that we find out all of these like truths that we're not really, would have never believed in, and we look at them and we kind of laugh it off in many ways, but we get a lot of peace with it, and we actually, like I said, land on our feet like the cat and walk off into the sunset with cool, groovy things, vibrations. So I hope you enjoyed today's reading. I have no idea how long that baby lasted. Again, that last card is confidence. So it may start out a little bit on the rocky side, but it's going to end, coming into that early part of the week, it's going to end on a high note and end in a good place, and that's where Valentine's Day is. Valentine's Day is on Monday. So coming into Monday, after you kind of clear the out, Monday and Tuesday are going to have that really good high vibration for you, so that you are walking strong in who you are and what you're bringing to the table and what you're doing and all those cool groovy things. important to kind of keep that in mind. Chance always favors a prepared mind. And when you know that you got a little muck-a-luck coming in, like in the upside down trust card, that you can kind of maybe put your big girl panties on if you're, into that, or, put your armor on if you're a dude, whatever, whatever your energy is, that you start putting your, hey Paul, that you put your best foot forward to move forward with strength and courage, and hopefully understand that some of these things were experiences so that you are the much more wiser in the future. So, peace, love, and harmony. I hope you guys have a most magical weekend. Yeah, bye.